welcome everyone to Marketing Tips for Translators. Many of you have been asking about productivity. Productivity is very important if you're a freelancer, especially if you're working from home or in a co-working office. So how can we plan our days and become more productive? In a blog post on Translators Live, translator and coach Amy Butcher counseled fellow translators to combine passive tactics with proactive tactics when it comes to organizing a work calendar and staying productive. So I wanted to share some of these. Some passive strategies is to set boundaries. Have a working office, set boundaries for when you're going to be working and not working. It's really important to have regular work hours so that you have time. So if you know that you have to end at 5 p.m., for example, you will be more productive during the time before that than if you let yourself work all the way through the evening, which is something I have to work on too. If you have children, then you really have to set boundaries and know when you can work and when you can't work in order to make your family life and your freelance translation life work well. Another tip is to set up time management tools. These might include apps that block web surfing, alarms, meeting reminders. So for example, we have teenage kids, or they're not, or almost adult now, and we turn off the Wi-Fi at a certain time every night, so they know that they have to be done by then with everything. For myself, I have turned off all the notifications on email. I just have to go into the email program to check email. I don't get messages when it comes. The same with any other like Slack or Facebook or Instagram. All the notifications are off. I always have to go into the app in order to see what the messages. I also have installed rescue time on my two computers, and they communicate with each other. So rescue time records all my time on the computer, and I can set what times of the week and day they will record, and then it sort of gives me a report, so I can see how much I've been on Trado Studio, or how much I've been on Facebook, or how much I've been on using email. And then I can set goals for myself if I want to limit some of those app times, and which ones are productive and not productive. And I get a weekly report, and I can see how I'm doing with my goals and how I'm doing with my activities. Some active strategies is to keep organized. This is important both if you have an office to keep the desk organized, but above all, try to keep an organized computer with folders, a folder structure that works for you, and keep it easy so that, for example, I use Dropbox, so the two computers sync to each other. I can access everything from my phone, from my laptop, and from my desktop. And in order to limit the time it takes for me to search for something, I try to once a year clean up my desktop or my folder structures to make it easier, and maybe purge some old files. You know how I think it's important to have a marketing plan. So I try to plan my marketing activities, otherwise they don't get done. So I know what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, and who I'm going to contact, and how to follow up, etc. And I sort of put it into my calendar with deadlines to get these done too. And I don't know if you like to-do lists or not. I recently heard another option is to have a result list. So every morning or the night before, you create a result list. So what you want the results of that day to be, what you want to get done. Not that you're going to work on a translation task or work on certain marketing task, but that you are when the day is over, you have finished that translation task, that's the result, or you have finished reaching out to 5 clients or something like that. So, and I try to limit my to-do list to about 5 tasks a day. And then I have a general to-do list that I can pick from if I happen to manage to finish all those tasks. So those are some of my tips. At the end of the day, I clean up my email folder, I clean up my to-do list, I move things around, and I prepare for the next day. And then I can go and enjoy my family or my friends and the rest of the life. So those are some tips that work for me, but what works for you? I would love to hear that. So please feel free to comment here your best productivity, what works for you. For me, I have noticed that I am most productive if I am working alone. So I tend to work at home in my home office a lot these days. But sometimes if I have sort of a tedious translation task or something, or I'm really tired or I need more motivation, then I go either to a cafe and work to get sort of the energy from the cafe, or I go to a co-working office. And I think it's important for us freelance translators too, not to just sit at home and not meet anyone, but to get out. So I get out every day and I meet people through my exercise. I exercise every day doing something, yoga or skate skiing or bicycling and stuff. And I plan lunches, or if I don't have anything planned, then I go to a cafe and work, or a co-working office. So I hope you wanted, or I wanted to tell you about the blog post with these tips, productivity and planning tips. I also have a productivity checklist for you. And the 10 tips to work smarter, not harder. For example, to set your work hours, find your optimal working rhythm, and keep distractions at bay, plan your day in advance, identify the most important tasks and do them first, and also learn to use your tools effectively and track your time, like I said. So if you want this checklist to make sure that you are staying as productive as possible and working smarter instead of harder, you can download it from the blog post, and I will provide a link here. So thank you so much. Please let me know what you think of these sessions. You can either email me or add a comment here. I would love to hear from you, and if you have any questions or productivity tips, please share them in the comments. Thank you and have a great day.